Okay, well, here I am. So I'm hoping this is working. Abby, are you there? Please respond. For anybody else tuning in this early, we're doing some tests. So if you're watching, we're testing this out to make sure it's actually going to work. I see 2 people are viewing. Abby, are you one of those 2 people? I see no comments, so I don't know if this is working or not. Amos staff replies, and you are there. Excellent. Let me see what. Okay, so I guess okay for you, Abby, I need you to know that I am broadcasting from my cell phone, so texting will be interesting. You can text, and I'll get it, but I won't reply because it seems like when I do, it shuts down the video. So. I guess about 4 minutes till. I'll give it 4 minutes for more folks to pop on here to this live broadcast, and then I'll take it away. So I'm trying to get everything in order. I think we're ready to go. Thank you for those of you that are here already early. Who else is watching? We have 3 minutes. Who else is watching? Please post a text to let me know who's watching. I see that the Asheville Museum of Science is watching. That's awesome. Thank you. It says 7 people are signed in. Waiting on the gong in 2 minutes. John Newman, awesome. Thanks, John. About another minute, and then I'll start it off. Okay, so welcome to this live broadcast from the Asheville Museum of Science. My name is Steve O'Neill. I'm a naturalist and environmental educator from down near Brevard, North Carolina. We're based out of Pisgah Forest. I run a small nonprofit 501c3 called Earthshine Nature Programs. And I'm also the naturalist and science educator for Trails Carolina and Trails Momentum, 2 wonderful wilderness therapy schools located here in the Lake Toxaway and Transylvania County areas. And, well, I'm going to introduce you to what I do. If you have questions, please chime in and I will try to answer them. But first, I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of an overview of what it is I do here, a little tour of my facility. So first and foremost, I started my nonprofit while working at Earthshine. It was actually Earthshine Mountain Lodge at the time, and then it was Earthshine Discovery Center, and now it's just Earthshine Lodge. It's a wonderful place up in Lake Toxaway, and I took the name Earthshine Nature Programs to out of honor for that wonderful organization, Earthshine, that has helped educate so many people about nature and wildlife. And working together for a better world for all of us. And I basically I work to spread education about, or spread and disseminate, I guess, education about how important nature is to us humans, us human animals. We are a part of nature. We're part of the web of life. And whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. And I try to educate folks about that mission. I also work to help people understand misunderstood wildlife better. Animals like snakes, turtles, lizards, opossums. These animals that so many people, for one reason or another, are either afraid of or fear or love to hate for unknown reasons that they might not even know themselves. And I work to help people learn the truth behind these animals, such as, well, I'm about to show you one. Are you ready? Here we go. You might bite me. there you go. This is a corn snake. And I call this corn snake Gwyneth. She doesn't know her name because she doesn't speak English, but I raised her from an egg here in my nature center facility that I will be showing you in a moment. Now this snake is about to shed. If you look at her eyes, they're in the opaque phase. They're sort of smoky, foggy looking, so she can't see very well at this time, right before she sheds, and so she might be a little more antsy and might be a little more quick to snap or bite. Right now she's just very interested in what is going on around her. She's probably very hungry. It's that time of year. It's spring. She just came out of hibernation recently. She is about 4 years old, and once she sheds, she will be much prettier. Her skin will brighten up. She is a gorgeous animal, and she is a corn snake. A corn snake is a type of rat snake. I have several rat snakes. I really love rat snakes. They're super awesome, very cool animals that really help us a lot in the control of rodents that would otherwise get into our homes, our gardens, our farms, and spread all kinds of nasty diseases. You may have heard of the Black Plague, bubonic plague. It was carried around by fleas on rodents, so the less rodents we have in our homes and businesses and farms and gardens, the better. Although rodents aren't bad animals, they just don't belong in our habitat. Rodents in the forest are absolutely imperative and necessities to a healthy, functioning ecosystem, and so are snakes, like Gwyneth here. I'm going to put her up and show you another one. All right, this one's really big. I got to stand up. This is how big rat snakes can get, some of them, some species of rat snakes. This is a gray rat snake, and his name is Slip. By the way, his sister's name is Slide. How cool is that? Slip and Slide. But Slip here was raised by Jim Hardy. Jim Hardy might be watching right now. And whoa, I need to put him around my neck because he's a big one. And Slip here is, let me think, almost 9 years old. He was born at Earthshine Lodge that I talked about earlier. And when he was born, he was the size of a pencil. And then Jim Hardy, who probably is watching this right now, hey Jim, Jim raised Slip from the time of when he was a little baby up until a few years ago. And Jim is the reason this snake is so incredibly large. Jim fed him very well, as you can see. And Slip here is really nice. Look, I can even pet him on the head. Hello there, Slip. Slip has been handled by so many thousands of people over the years that he does not see people as a threat. In the wild, of course, I don't recommend picking up wild snakes of any kind because, oh boy, he's strong. Because they might feel threatened and they might bite. And of course, being bitten by a snake like Slip here is harmless because, well, not harmless. It does puncture the skin and it will hurt and bleed, but it is not a venomous, what some people might call poisonous animal. He is a constrictor. So you would grab his food by the head, wrap around it, and squeeze really tight until it dies, and then swallow it down head first. What a cool animal. Look at that tongue. They use their tongue to sense their environment, and they basically taste their way through life, following the trail and the scent of prey animals, such as, of course, rodents. This guy would eat squirrels, rats, mice, birds, bats, anything he could find in the hollow trees that he loves to frequent. Now, this is a gray rat snake. They're found down in the southern states, closer to the coast. But around here, we have a snake called the black rat snake, eastern rat snake, black snake. They go by so many names. Some people call them the pilot black snake. And they can get this big, 6 to 7 feet long, maybe even longer. I will show you a black snake now. Let me put Slip up. This is going to be an interesting, hold on, this is going to be interesting. I got to put him in his little box. Okay, now I'm going to get out a little black snake. It takes a minute. Okay, here we go. Gotta sit back down. This, whoa, this is, okay, quit it, buddy. This is Tyson. Tyson is a little black rat snake, rat snake, however you want to call it. eastern rat snake, and he is from right here. He was found literally in this building about 3 years ago. He was found crawling into the building. I don't usually keep wild snakes or wild animals as pets unless there is a reason, and well, he came into the room. Maybe he wanted to live here. I don't know. But at the time, I had a large black snake who had just passed away. Some of you may remember Scar. And Scar was a really nice snake I'd had for many years, and he passed away due to old age. And then this guy came in right about the same time, and I decided, well, we'll give him a home, and if he doesn't work out, we will let him go, and it won't be any problem because he's from right here. But again, I don't usually keep wild snakes. But these guys are super common, and I needed an ambassador for his species so that I could teach people about how absolutely, awesome these snakes really are. And Tyson has been very helpful in educating people on the beauty and on the beauty and the necessity of wild animals, especially the misunderstood wild animals such as Tyson here. And Tyson has the potential to grow as big as Slip, but right now Tyson is only eating 1, 2, maybe 3 adult mice a week. But give it a couple of years and he'll be huge. So I'm going to put Mr. Tyson up. Okay, before we look at some more snakes and more creatures, why don't we take a tour around the classroom, because I do have quite a unique classroom here, but I'd like everybody to see it. So let's take a look. I'm going to switch the camera view. Let me see if I can do that. All right, here we go. Whoa. All right, I'll try to move the camera slowly, because if I move it too quick, it might make everybody dizzy. All right, let's just walk over here, leaving my office area. This is the library. I have all kinds of science and nature books that the students can check out. Science, nature, space. Most of them are reference books. I do have a small selection of science fiction and fantasy, type books, Star Wars and such. But right beside that is, of course, the Family Tree of Life. It's all science here all the time. And a telescope that we can use if we decide to go look at the stars in the universe. Turning to my right, whoa, sorry, that's kind of dizzying. I'm sorry, I know. This is our solar monitoring station. Our building is powered by solar, and you'll see that shortly. And this monitor is showing the actual output from the 3 different arrays that are actually part of the main array, which powers the building. It is a close to 20 kilowatt array built by the students. We will again take a look at that shortly. And this is showing that today it's overcast. We're not putting out much power, but we are making power. 478, 756, and 480 watts. Not a lot, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because this system makes so much power all the time that we're always running on either solar or credit. We build up so much credit that we never are running on the power grid. We're always powered by solar power here, even without a battery system. And the whole purpose, the whole reason this solar power system is even here is because of some amazing people some of you might know. A couple of you might be watching. Bob Harris of Black Bear Solar Institute in Townsend, Tennessee, and then Jim Hardy of Pisgah Forest, North Carolina. Without these two guys, without your help, this would have never happened. They made this possible. Okay, I'm going to walk past this big aquarium, and inside this aquarium, I'm going to have to quickly, hold on, stand by, turn off the room lights so we don't have a terrible reflection. That is an African lungfish. The African lungfish is a really unique animal. This one, oh, the reflections, I'm so sorry. This African lungfish, we've had him about 4 years, and we call him Jacques Cousteau. Some of you will understand why, but for those of you that don't, Jacques Cousteau invented the aqualung scuba gear, and so that's why we call him Jacques Cousteau. But yeah, we have some unique animals here. Let's look at a few more of them. I'm going to turn the lights on. And these two aquariums have eastern hellbenders inside. Eastern hellbenders, of course, are very unique animals, and they're hiding right now. Let's see if I can see one here. Here you go. Come on. Reflections are pretty bad. I'm sorry. That is Smeagol. Smeagol is an eastern hellbender. And then in the other tank we have Gollum. Gollum is hiding, but he lives under that rock. That seems very fitting for Gollum to live under a rock, for those of you who know what I'm referring to. Okay, sorry about that. Come on, focus. Trying to get things to focus here. There we go. All right, now we're going back around. Oh, by the way, this is the Wall of Heroes. Everybody needs a Wall of Heroes, and you'll probably notice a lot of scientific minds from throughout history, as well as Mr. Spock. Yes, I know, a few of my favorite folks from science fiction also have had a big influence on my life, as maybe a lot of you they have for a lot of you as well. Now we're going to take a look at a timber rattlesnake. This is Gandalf the timber rattlesnake. Gandalf is hungry. Later today is feeding day, and so he knows that. Gandalf was a rescue. He came from another zoo. They had too many rattlesnakes, and they asked me if I needed one, so I got the necessary permits. You do have to have a permit to have a venomous snake, and you have to have special housing requirements for them, and you have to follow those rules, or you cannot have a timber rattlesnake. This guy was illegally captured out of the wild, and now he resides here as an education animal, teaching people the truth about how beautiful these animals are and how imperative they are to a healthy, functioning ecosystem. Here we have, a beautiful red-tailed boa constrictor, and her name is Ashley. And I wish I could pick Ashley up and introduce her to you a little closer, but she is locked onto her log. When she locks onto this log, there is nothing you can do to get her off. That is where she goes when she doesn't want to be disturbed. Beautiful boa constrictor, and we'll close the door now. Now, here's the classroom. Classroom consists of several seats. As you can see, there's 15 seats. These seats came from Nissan Leaf electric vehicles, and they were all test vehicles from Nissan, and they were donated by Bob Harris, again, of Black Bear Solar Institute in Townsend, Tennessee. And Bob has helped contribute so much to make this classroom what it is. And then, of course, Jim Hardy built the wooden base that the seats are sitting on. And so Bob and Jim have helped create this amazing education environment, along with my students who also helped put all of this together. So these seats allow a really unique education environment. They face forward to this large monitor, and the monitor allows the students to journey to amazing places, such as the International Space Station that you're seeing on the screen now through my space science class, and also all around the planet to all kinds of amazing places, amazing science and education, without leaving this room or the forest where we all reside currently. Up here on the left is another monitor showing live views of space from that very International Space Station that the other video was showing. So that's live right now as we speak over the South Atlantic Ocean. Okay, why don't we go look around a little more? Okay, now we're looking at the this wall of monitors. This is mission control, and mission control is basically several different websites showing different environmental and science data from around the planet, and sometimes off the planet. Let's start at the bottom left. This is COVID-19 monitoring and folding at home running, although it's paused right now, to help tackle the COVID issue. You can see the curve is flattening. Stay home, people. Wash your hands. Wear your mask and all that good stuff. And listen to the science. And then over here, we have weather. We have, let's see here, right here. This is radar. And then over here is lightning, live lightning as it's happening. Isn't that cool? Science is so cool. And then Google Earth over Africa, where we all originated originally so long ago. And then up here, we have a live view from the backyard looking at our building. That's our solar array and garden. We'll walk out there in a minute. And then over here we have Ventusky or Ventusky, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And that is showing all kinds of metrics from all around the world. It's pretty amazing. Check it out. Ventusky.com, I think it is, yep. And then up here we have air quality monitoring from all over western North Carolina. Sorry about that reflection. These are air monitors showing the air quality data, PM 2.5 at the moment. It's particulate matter in the air. Right now our air is really clean. You can see a lot of green, so we're very clean, other than that 170 over in Almond. I don't know what's going on there. But this allows students to see real-time information, real-time science information from all around the planet and in our own backyard. Down here we have some really cool solar cooking and cooling gear. This is a solar stove made by GoSun. GoSun is a really cool company that is working to make the use of solar power even more possible for everyone. This is a really neat stove. Inside here I have a turkey leg for lunch. It's not heating up yet, but it will. Typically I would put this outside in the sun, but today's very overcast, and you might be like, yeah, solar stoves don't work unless there's sun, but this one does. It has a heating coil on the bottom of the cooking tube. This plug comes down and plugs into this little device, which you turn on. It's a battery bank. Turn on this battery bank and it heats up your food, and you don't need the sun. But you know what? You charge the battery bank on sunshine and you're still running on the sun. How cool is that? And below this is the GoSun Chill cooler. It is a 48 quart cooler that runs on that same power bank I just showed you. How cool is that? Solar rules. There's no other way around it. Solar powers everything. There's even more examples of solar power systems over here, small ones that you could use to charge your devices in your life. Even a tiny GoSun Go cook stove that cooks little tiny things, you know, like a couple of hot dogs. I would choose the vegan hot dogs myself, because the other ones you don't know what they're made of. But yeah, there's so many options here for the students to learn of all kinds of scientific concepts and wildlife, the connections between us and wildlife. This is the table of oddities, as I call it. All kinds of unique things that I've collected throughout my life. It's a touch table. Now, of course, during the time of COVID-19, we are not using the touch table until further notice. We're being very cautious and careful because, yes, our school is still open, but we are being very careful here, following all the scientific protocols, and then some in my classroom to make sure that we, you know, keep everything under control and play by the rules. Let's take a look outside. There's a tracking map from back in the days when I used to track rat snakes and rattlesnakes and eastern box turtles. Now we're walking out under the solar array. This is the fire escape into the chicken yard. Let's walk downstairs, hoping my phone stays connected. So we're looking out into the chicken yard, and we can see a Nissan Leaf electric vehicle, a 2013. This Nissan Leaf is quite unique, as you can see. It has been converted into a chicken nesting coop, or egg-laying coop, I should say. Let's take a look. Some of the seats for the seating area came from this car, and inside you can see straw, places for chickens to lay their eggs. They haven't been using this car lately because they're using the other nest box we'll look at in a few minutes. But yes, this is a perfectly good car with only 35,000 miles on it. But because it was a Nissan test vehicle, it could not be driven on the road, and so Bob Harris of Black Bear Solar donated it, and we turned it into a chicken coop. And I know that's kind of weird, but hey, it works wonderfully. The chickens love it. Okay, now let's take a look at the solar array. And speaking of chickens, I don't know where they are. Oh, wait a minute. Before we look at the solar array, here you go. There's the chickens. Hey, guys. Our rooster's name is Mr. Miyagi because on his first day of life, he was standing in here in the yard as a little chick. He saw a housefly buzzing around his head, and he leapt up and grabbed it and gobbled it right down without even thinking. And you know what? That's why he got his name, Mr. Miyagi. All right, let's walk around here to the solar array. Hopefully we will stay connected. There's our solar array. It's really big, as you can see. We have 64 solar modules. Some people call them panels, but they're actually modules. These two are part of a test off-grid system, and the ones on the far top left are also off-grid, but everything else is grid-tied, grid-connected. This is our organic garden we're working on. We've already planted most of it for this year. One of our new additions this year, you can see at the far corner of the garden, is a grape arbor. We planted some grapes a couple of years ago, and they're growing really well, and hopefully we can train them to grow up on that arbor we made of oak. We also upgraded our bean tunnel. This is the bean tunnel. We used PVC arches to support the fencing that the beans grow on. By mid to late summer, this tunnel is so covered in beans that it blocks out the sun. But luckily, it doesn't block the sun from the array. The reason we put the array on this massive frame is because, well, look at our roof. It's an old building. It's an old log cabin. And so we decided to put it on a frame to support it better. Also, it makes it very accessible for the students to come up and touch it and learn all about how amazing solar energy really is. This thing puts out so much power. It puts out more power than we need. It puts out almost 4 times the power that we need to run this building. So that excess power goes into a credit bucket, like an invisible credit bucket at Duke Energy. And then when it's gray and overcast like this, we draw from that credit bucket, and we also use that excess energy to power the Earthshine Nature Program's outreach vehicle. Let's go take a look at that. While I'm walking over there, I'll tell you about another project we started this year. We've actually started an apple orchard. It's small. We're using dwarf apple trees, and we have 6 apple trees. We planted them on Earth Day. Very fitting, right? And the students and I planted them. And so, yep, we have an orchard now. I can't get much closer than this because the Wi-Fi signal, maybe a little bit. But you're looking at our chicken coop, and the chicken coop is unique. Well, it's solar powered. It has several automated systems. One that raises and lowers an automatic door so the chickens can come in, then the door comes down at night to protect them from predators. And then a shield device, a metal bucket that comes down over the chicken feeder to keep the fat squirrels from pigging out on all the chicken feed. And of course, it's all powered by solar power. And then beside the chicken coop, you can see our outreach vehicle, a 2019 Chevrolet Bolt EV. And it is now plugged in and charging, and it's getting its power from the solar array. Now, again, it's an overcast day, so the power is coming from the credit that we've built up over so many months. But that car, it's small, but it's wonderful. It does what we need, and it does it for virtually nothing, no cost for fuel, because it runs on solar power. It comes out to around 1 to 2 cents per mile for fuel for that car. And I drive about 200 miles a week, so that's a big savings. How far you might be asking the car can go? About 238 miles on one charge. And over here, we have the box turtle enclosure. And we have 12 box turtles. Most of them, well, actually all of them, were injured by cars or dogs or fires, things like that, and they cannot be released for all those reasons. But what we usually do when we have an injured wild animal is we rehabilitate it and then get it back into its native habitat. I am a licensed wildlife rehabilitator, and so that's my goal, is to try to get these animals back into their natural habitats, because they are not pets. They don't need to be taken home. You can see one box turtle, I believe, right here. Hopefully the phone will stay connected. He's down in that hole. But it's cool, so they're not out. They're not out moving around yet. Why don't we move back inside? These buildings, we call them yurts, and they are basically where our students stage when they come to class. They'll put their gear in the yurt, and then they'll come into the building for class. Oh, before we go in, take a look. These are our inverters. They're Sunny Boy inverters, and they take the DC electricity from the array and turn it into AC electricity that we can then use in the classroom, in the animal habitats. Thank you, Bob Harris, again for this amazing donation of the And in here, you see almost nothing, but over there, there's one redfoot usually that gets the Savannah monitor to come out. I have about a 2.5 foot long Savannah monitor lizard. Now, and now I suppose it's a good time for questions and answers. Best I can. That's pretty much the tour, by the way. There's other. We can't go that far because I did big. How? Breaking up. We have taken a big hit in our programming. You know, we're not doing programming, so that's really slowed down our income for this year for the nonprofit. Obviously, I'm still teaching class for my 9-to-5 job. This building shares both the 9-to-5 and the nonprofit in the same building under the same roof. That's going along fine, very carefully, of course. But as far as the nonprofit, I've not had a single program in, gosh, almost 2 months. But hopefully things will get better if people keep listening to the science and following the rules and, you know, doing what they need to do to keep themselves and others safe. Okay, so let's see. Connection is back. Oh wow! So we lost connection. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what you guys missed, but I pretty much finished the tour. Does anybody have any questions? And also, by the way, what was the last thing? The last place you saw me speaking on? I mean, maybe we can go back to that point, depending on the time here. So, would anybody like me to show them anything in particular, or answer any questions? I'm just waiting here. It takes a while apparently for the feed to pop up. I see the last post I see is from Asheville Museum of Science. Connection is back. So of course that's a good thing. Just as I was finishing up the solar panels. Okay. Well, the thing I showed after that was my the outreach vehicle. It's a 2019 Chevrolet Bolt EV that helps, you know, basically helps with all of our programming. We use it to go into schools, special events, wherever anybody wants us to come. We will come and bring animals to you. Although, of course, during this this COVID issue, I haven't been able to do that. But let's see. We got some questions here. What's the coolest snake fact? Wow, the coolest snake fact. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think one of the coolest snake facts is that, well, that snakes have a forked tongue. That's one of my favorite things about snakes, is they can use their tongue to detect just tiny, minuscule particles of the animal that they're tracking, and then follow it to the animal, even if the animal ran by yesterday. I mean, they have an incredible sensory tool. And then, of course, then there's the fact that rattlesnakes and other pit vipers and a few other snakes have heat-sensing ability. They can see the heat given off by their mammalian prey. That is an incredible thing. And it's natural technology, biotechnology, without any, you know, technology created. Like we have to create night vision and heat-sensing ability, but animals just did it through natural selection over millions of years. That's just so cool. Let's see what else here. Okay, Megan wants to see some more snakes. And Calvin says, why did you make the car into a chicken coop? Well, the car couldn't be driven, Calvin, because it was a test vehicle. for Nissan. They used it drove it on the road to test it to see if it would work before they sold the final product to the people. And then after that, they were going to crush it. And Mr. Bob Harris said, hey, you know, we could use those cars for education. And so Nissan, could we have a few of those cars? And Nissan said, sure you can, but you can't ever drive them on the road. You can use them for other things, for education and such, but you can't drive them. And so that's what we did. We took one of those cars and turned it into a chicken coop. And the chickens love it. Let's see. Where is Fiona? Fiona is at my house. Fiona, I took her home so she could have a special bath because she was having some skin shedding issues, and sometimes ball pythons do have skin shedding issues in the winter months, but she is getting better and she'll be back soon. You touch the solar panel, says George. On a cloudy day, do they feel warm or room temperature? Well, they're actually about the temperature of the air, sort of like a reptile would be. They're the temperature of the air today. Now, if the sun was out bearing down on those solar panels, those solar modules, they would be really hot. They wouldn't burn you, but they would be hot because, well, they're glass, they're dark colored, and so they would be absorbing a lot of heat energy, and they would be hot. Is there a part of a solar panel that is dangerous to touch? Well, the glass side that you see is not dangerous to touch unless, of course, it's really, really hot. You might burn yourself, but that's pretty rare. The wiring that comes out of the back of the solar panel is, you know, it can be high voltage, and so you don't want to touch that if it's damaged. Touching the wire itself won't hurt you because it's insulated. I don't know if you noticed, but the entire array is encased in fencing, and that is by law. You have to fence it in for safety, and then you may have seen there are signs all over it that say danger, high voltage, do not enter. And so, yeah, that part of the solar panel system could be dangerous, but if it's encased safely as it is in conduit, then it's safe. How many snakes do you have, Jim says, and what does it cost to feed them? Oh, wow. I have about 23 snakes. I have to count them, but around 23. And it's not cheap to feed them. Just like any pet, it costs money. And so we have to order mice a couple of times a year, and they're frozen mice. Really, that's the one part of my job and my passion that I don't like, is having to get those little cute mice. Yeah, I know, mice are cute. I think they are. All animals are cute. All animals are beautiful. And then we have to feed the mice to the snakes. But you know what? You can't make a predator a vegetarian or a vegan. Humans, we can become vegetarian and vegan by choice because we have technology that allows us to know what type of plants to eat to get the balance that we need in our diet. But snakes, you can't do that. And other predators, cats and dogs, you can't do that. You have to give them meat. And so these guys get mice and rats. And it can be pretty expensive, but I get them from a special supply house that raises mice for zoos and nature centers. And they're not wild mice. They're lab mice, essentially. And they raise them and they feed them well, they take care of them, and then they send them to me. I don't raise live mice. I've tried that and it's really messy. I would rather keep it clean, and I keep them frozen until it's time to feed. The science area is one of the most unusual areas I've seen. You are using all of your space and adding many different parts of science rather than just visiting just one thing. Great job. Thanks, Rose. Well, that's my goal. There are so many aspects to science and nature and wildlife conservation. Everything here is an outgrowth of that. Everything here is connected to nature first and foremost, because nature we're connected to nature. And I see that as one of the biggest problems of today, is so many people losing their connection to nature. And science is a way to understand and explain nature. And so that's why I've connected the two together. And there's so many different things here. It's kind of like an ADD nightmare in a way in this building, but in a way it's also comforting, I think, to most of the students who come in. I've had many students come in and they were afraid of snakes, and they had misunderstandings about not just snakes but nature and science. And then when they leave, hopefully I've left them with a little bit more curiosity and a little bit more understanding of how things work. Because I do teach, I teach about misunderstood animals, and I teach about misunderstood science topics. Yeah, that's right. There are a lot of misunderstood science topics, as those science people out there know. And we could go list a long list of them, but just for starters, the three main misunderstood science topics that I work to teach are space science. You know, we have a lot of misunderstandings around what goes on in space, like what's happening up there on the International Space Station. What's it all for? Why spend so much money on all this space science? Well, it helps us understand our place in the cosmos, you know, and understanding that, we can help better understand ourselves and who we are as a species. And yeah, that's important. Helps us to better take care of our planet and all of the amazing creatures that live upon it, including us. And then, of course, I teach about energy. You know, we have a great energy classroom here, energy focused, with a lot of solar energy and other forms of renewable energy education. I try to teach a lot about all of them. You know, I don't know if you noticed, I'll walk over and show it to you. By the way, we are going to look at more snakes in a minute. So this is a stove that runs on twigs. That's right, twigs. And twigs are renewable because trees continually grow, pull carbon out of the air, and then turn that carbon into their own structure. And then if you take the twigs and put them down in here and you light them on fire, those twigs are burning and they're releasing that heat energy that was stored inside of them, and that carbon goes back into the atmosphere and then becomes part of another tree, and then you do it again and again. This is a renewable powered stove. It is a super cool little device. But yeah, lots of different educational opportunities here for our students. And of course for our outreach participants out in the world, when I finally get to start doing my outreach programming again to the rest of the community here in Western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, and East Tennessee. That's my coverage area. But first and foremost, you know, I'm here to serve my students at Trails Carolina and Trails Momentum. They're my #1 goal, is to teach them first and educate them first on science and nature and why it's so important to all of us. More animals. Let's see, who could I get out? I know I have more of you wanting to see some of the animals. Let me go over here. I'm going to prop the phone right here, like this. Now I'm going to get out a ball python. Sensing pit organs, and she can use them to see heat given off by her prey, which in her natural environment in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, would be, yep, gerbils. I know you might like gerbils as pets, but they're rodents, and if there are too many gerbils, then there's going to be a problem. So her job is to keep the gerbil population in check, and she crawls down into the gerbil burrow, and then when she gets to a fork in the burrow, you know, she's like flicks her tongue this way, flicks her tongue this way, and then she smells more gerbils to the right, and so she goes to the right, and then down she goes. It gets darker and darker. She can't see, and that's where her heat-sensing pit organs come into play, and they start helping her see the gerbils as they run around their tunnels. And then she comes to a chamber full of gerbils, and she reaches out and grabs one lightning fast, wraps around it, constricts it, and then gobbles it up. And probably eat a lot. All right, it's ready. Put her up. Another one. By the way, I need to keep looking at these questions here. Let's see. Keep snakes. Thanks, Jim. Well, you need to know about the snake that you want to keep. You need to do some research, and what that animal needs for that habitat. I'll let you look at this habitat. So this is a with one hand. Top slides out, and inside we have a hide cave out there. Then helping her shed her skin, a water bowl with clean water, keep the water clean, and a rock, also for help, and substrate used for the bedding, keep everything clean. Now that's the stage for her. Small cage for her. They get a lot of exercise. They get to be handled by the students, carefully, of course, and someone interaction with animals, and that really helps them connect with these animals. And that's my whole goal, is helping people connect with nature and with wildlife. Now, these are tame animals. So please, kids, don't go out and pick animals up off the ground whenever you see them, because they're not tame. They're wild. And you could get bitten by a disease. I'd say it's far more dangerous to eat at McDonald's. Oh no, maybe I shouldn't have said the name of that place. Okay, are they listening? No, I'm joking. Anyway, fast food. I just don't think it's very healthy. All right. Oh, look, the sun. Don't touch it. Ow, it's hot. Okay. Right. I'm going to show you a cute from Africa. This African sand boa. Look at her. I wish it would not be so fuzzy. I'm so sorry that's out of focus. Maybe I just need to stay back here. This is an African sand boa. Look how pretty. They don't get really large. They live under the dirt, under the substrate, under the sand and soil. And she's working on shedding right now. Kind of help her a little bit. That probably feels really good, kind of like peeling off a sunburn. Really trying to help her out. But yeah, these little guys are small, but they are constrictors. And so like a boa constrictor, they grab their prey, wrap around it, and squeeze it until it's dead, and then they gobble it up. She has cat-like pupils. I don't know if you can see that, but she has cat-like pupils. Elliptical pupils, you know, up and down, and unlike ours that are round. And she's pretty chunky for her size. She's really healthy. That's Rose. I'm going to put her back up. She was just sleeping under her sand. All right, who else? Oh yeah, here's one. Comes up to the top of the page. He asks, do the different types of snakes have more heat because they're but I take okay, that's the nature of the beast. Here we go. Another. This is Elon Musk. Things he says and does, but I still think he's awesome because of how he's introducing renewable energy to the world and electric vehicles, which I think are super cool. But also, when snakes are frightened, wild snakes, when they're frightened, they will musk. And what that means is, if you were to go pick up a wild corn snake, it's very possible he might do one of 2 or 3 things. He might try to get away, he might try to bite, and he might musk. And musking is kind of like what skunks do. They spray this really stinky, nasty, foul liquid on you. And if you were a predator trying to eat him and he suddenly musked, you would probably get him out of your mouth and go wash your mouth out in a creek or something. Musk is nasty. But Elon Musk isn't nasty. He's just weird and quirky and cool. All right, but this is Elon. line snake. Look at his belly. Corn snakes have a beautiful pattern on their belly. He's a species of corn snake. That. Let's see, is there anybody else with any other questions? Jim Hardy. Jim, I think I went in there a little bit. Oh, I know what. Let's go see if the turtles or the tortoises are out of their hide cave. They're scared. They don't need any steps. How cool is that? Oh, that's another tortoise. This is Rex. Rex is the red tortoise. And here. These are all rescue tortoises. Every one of them. They were people's pets, and now they're ex-pets. They grow and they grow and they grow. So if you ever want a pet tortoise, please reconsider, or at least please do your homework and understand that they have specific habitats. And summers I live with for animals of this size. Okay, come back around here. If you have any more questions, that's what we'll do now, is we'll finish with questions. Any more questions? Anybody? If you .com, and it basically outlines everything I do, and hopefully soon will be you bring you where you can I have several different programs. I do wildlife outreach, misunderstood wildlife education, helping educate you about these animals and how misunderstood they are and how they need to be more understood. So basically that's my goal, is to bring an understanding of nature and wildlife to you in a one-on-one way that you'll never forget. I also do renewable energy and electric vehicle education, so I will drive my electric vehicle to your location and bring all of the tools I showed you earlier, the cook stoves, the cooler, a special solar table that I have, several solar panels of varying sizes, and introduce you to renewable energy and electric vehicles. Those are my main programs. Of course, I also do wildlife rehabilitation. I specialize in reptiles and opossums, or what some would call possums. Those are my main, the main animals I work with. I don't have animals other than opossums. And right now I do not have an opossum. pet. Wild, and that's the only reason I will have one. Like my snakes, animals in this room are I don't find animals out there that need animals that people need. They need to afford. And connected to we do or do similar or have similar missions. And Bob Harris and Amos. Past programs. This is but it won't be soon as we have to follow the rules of science. We have to listen to the scientists and ignore what's out there. We have to do it the way they home. You know what? It's working. Questions, comments. Let me go scroll through here and see if I missed anything. Still looking here. Well, here's something interesting that I might not have mentioned. I think I briefly touched on it. How much time do we have? Oh, not much. But yeah, so, thanks, Bob. Thank you, Bob, for all that you do and all you have done, you and Jim both, for all you have done to make this place what it is today. This is an incredible education facility, and I never in my life thought I would be able to, be a part of something so incredible, and you guys made it possible. Along with all those others of you out there who might be watching who donated time and money and technology, and of course all of my students throughout all the years who donated their their hands and their work, their hard work, got in there, and we did it together. We made this happen together. We drilled holes, we dug holes, we drilled holes, we put metal together like a giant jigsaw puzzle and slapped solar panels on and ran wiring and conduit, and it's been an amazing wild ride to make this place what it is. Not just the solar energy part of it, but everything else. And then, of course, I have to say thank you to Trails Carolina and Trails Momentum, because without them, I wouldn't have had a place to make this happen. And it's, again, for their students that I do all of this for this on this location. I can take visitors from the outside world, but it has to be way prearranged, and under the COVID situation right now, I'm not taking visitors. But maybe one day we can do that again. But yeah, thank you to all of you who have made this possible. And if any of you, again, are interested in having me come to your location once things get a little better, then just contact me. My website is earthshinenature.com. Yeah, so it looks like that might be, we're right about the end of the broadcast. So, and Amos, thank you, Asheville Museum of Science. You guys have, wow, you're amazing. And Abby, Abby, wow, awesome, Abby, amazing, Abby. I don't know, I can't think of any other words, but you're just incredible, and you have made so much of this happen as well. Abby, I don't know if for those, Abby was my intern, well, still is, I guess, last year mainly, and she helped build the final part of the solar array. Her and Mitch, they helped build the final pieces of the solar array and make it happen, as well as so many other things. But yeah, thank you guys. Thanks Amos and Jim and Bob and everybody else who was watching. I'm going to go ahead and sign off if there's not any more questions. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, so, by the way, I guess if anybody's still watching, go to my website, you can find under YouTube user SnakeSteve68, where I put a lot of my wildlife exploits, reptiles, and all the renewable energy website. Here's the thing. I'm long-winded. Yeah, you probably figured that one out, didn't you? But I feel like if you really want to know the information, then you're gonna go and watch the videos, and they're for you. Thanks, Renee. Yeah, it is really good to, well, I can't see you, but good to see you, Renee. And thank you for all your help back in the in the past, whatever, at Leaf Festival. And hopefully we'll be going back to Leaf Festival again in the fall. For those of you who have never been to Leaf Festival, go to Leaf, and I'm always there with a booth full of snakes and tortoises and solar power. And yeah, so thank you everyone for attending this really cool opportunity to bring what I do to you virtually, using technology and using science. Yes, without science, none of this would have been possible. So that's how important science is in today's world. Not just for, you know, a streaming broadcast from a little log cabin nature center on the side of a mountain in the middle of the woods, but also everything. Thanks, Allison. Everything. You know, everything relies and revolves around nature and science right now, today. So learn these things, you know, incorporate them into your daily lives and learn how important science and nature are to all of us. And I need to stop talking, get some water, and go on about my day here and getting some chores done. So it's been great hanging out with you folks. You guys have a great day, and science rules.